This is problem 10.11 from Brigham and Houston, Fundamentals of Financial Management, Concise, 9th edition. And here we're given a problem where we're told that the capital structure is some mix of debt and equity, and then we're given some cost for the debt. It's 11% and 11% pre-tax. We're given a 35% tax rate. So the cost of debt would be the yield to maturity times 1 minus the tax rate. So for our company here, it can issue debt at 11% and it has a 35% tax rate. Then its after-tax cost of debt, which is its cost of debt capital, is 7.15%. Okay, and then we got the cost of equity, and we can use D1 over P0 plus G here to solve for the cost of equity capital. I have a dividend just paid D0, and I know that's growing at 7%, so the $2 dividend times 1 plus the growth rate tells me that the dividend a year from now is $2.14. The current stock price is $24.75, so if I divide that by $24.75, that's D1 over P0, and then I add the growth rate of 7%, reformat that for a percent, that's my cost of equity capital, okay? And I'm told that the weighted average cost of capital for this whole mess is 13.95%. So the weighted average cost of capital is equal to the weight for debt times the cost for debt plus the weight for equity times the cost for equity. Alright, here's where you're going to need a little gratuitous arithmetic to make this work. So the weighted average cost of capital, I'm not given weights on either the debt or the equity, but I know that the sum of the two equals to 1. So I'm going to use some algebra in here, and so I'm going to call WD the weight for debt, and the cost of debt is 7.15%, which I've already calculated, and 1 minus WD would be the weight for the equity. Alright, and I've already calculated that, 15.65%. Okay, and I know that the weighted average cost of capital, which is given in the problem, is 13.95%. Okay, so once I've set it up here, now I have a single unknown, the weight for debt, and a single equation. So I can go through here and solve for the weight for the debt. Alright, so that'd be 13.95% is equal to WD times 7.15%, and then if I multiply through this second term, the 1 would be 15.65%, and then minus 15.65% WD. Alright? So 13.95% is equal to 7.15% WD plus 15.65% minus 15.65% WD. Let me subtract 15.65% from both sides. This stupid Doseri thing. Doceri, I not only have a license, I got 2 freaking licenses, you piece of crap. For anybody that thinks that they want to buy Doceri, I would recommend against it because they irritate me. But I've already bought 2 of the darn things, and I ain't gonna quit using them now. All right, back from my diatribe. If I subtract the 1565 from both sides, that'd be 13.95% minus 15.65%. Try and keep this in decimal form. That's negative 1.7% would be equal to 7.15% WD minus 15.65% WD. Hard to do algebra in here in a computer. I can gather terms on this side. 7.15 minus 15.65. That'd give me 1.7% is equal to negative 8.5% WD. Okay, so now if I take both sides and I divide them by negative 8.5, negative 1.7% divided by negative 8.5% gives me the weight for the debt, all right, or 0.2. I can check my arithmetic up here. If this is the cost, and this is the weight, so I've solved for the cost of debt is 0.2. That must mean that 1 minus 0.2 is the equity weight. So if I do weight times cost, I ought to come up with the weighted average of the two, and it should come up to 13.95%. 0.2 times 7.15, do the same thing here, add the two numbers together, and the little rounding, of course, there's my answer. So the cost of debt is 7.15. The weight of debt is 0.2, or 20% of the capital structure. All right. So a lot of gratuitous arithmetic, but heck, it's always fun solving problems using those God-given talents we know in algebra.